Welcome back. Beautiful day. Wonderful day. What a wonderful week. It's your boy here, Alejandro MMA Chaos. And I'm bringing out here hopefully the new champion this Saturday. Hopefully there's no draw or anything. We're going to go down at UFC 327. And we're just going to break down the main event. I want to kind of go with the Jiří Procházka versus Ulberg. And it's going to be a beautiful fight. I just know it's going to be everything we asked for. And we're going to see either Jiří regains his throne as the light heavyweight champion of the world, or do we see a new champion emerge out of Carlos Blackjack Ulberg. Apologize there, the name. Now, something I want to bring up here. I'll be going over their strengths, their weaknesses, as well as their previous history in fights, their path to victory, and finally, my final prediction. I do want to say this, I'm being extremely unbiased in here. I have been doing a lot of fight tape study on both sides, especially with Carlos Ulberg. I think for most folks, people know Jiří Procházka, and Carlos has always been a fighter under the radar for some reason, but obviously, he's running a 9-fight winning streak. He has beaten pretty much everyone outside of Kennedy. You could say there are some fights that warranted a robbery. But hey, we're not talking about that. We're just talking about this weekend's fight. First off, I'll be starting off with the former champion of Jiří Procházka. Obviously, right now, he has 28 wins by knockout, 3 wins by submission, and 23 wins on the first round finishes. He is currently riding a 32-fight wins, 5 losses with 1 draw. Obviously, his only losses in the UFC has been against Alex Pereira. I want to show up here this record going on. Obviously, he has defeated Volkan Ozdemir on the second round, defeating Dominic Reyes in the second round, defeating Glover Teixeira on the 5th round, one of probably the greatest fight of all time I've ever seen in my life, losing to Alex Pereira on his return after a long time out in the ring, I think for almost 2 years after he tore his shoulder, vacating the belt, coming back, fighting at UFC 300 against Alexander Rakic, which he was losing the round. I won't go too details in each fight, but this will kind of go into the path to victory of each one, and I'll explain why. Losing against Alex Pereira, then defeating against Jamal Hill, and defeating Khalil Roundtree in his last 2 recent fights. You could definitely tell that he has made major improvements since then. First topic here we're going to talking about is Jiří Procházka's strengths. First of all, power. Outside of Alex Pereira, Jiří Procházka is the heaviest hitter. Well, now he is the heaviest hitter since Alex moved up. The heaviest hitter in the light heavyweight division. Probably, there's pretty much no argument. For how much fights he has been, he has the highest finishing rate of all his fights. His fights go to the finish. Out of all his wins, only 1 has been to a decision. Ever since then, he just puts people out. His power is insane. Second, he is extremely unorthodox. Something that Jiří is well known. He is not like any other fighter ever in history. He throws hooks in different areas. He has his hands down low, throwing jabs, throw right uppercuts in places you just never expect, throwing the knee, jumping in the air. Like, he is just not predictable. His cardio. All right, though he's rarely ever gone to the 5th round or anything past the 3rd round, he does have an extreme cardio. In watching his performance against Glover Teixeira, we saw that even in the 4th round that he was slowing down, he was still in the fight. On the 5th round that Glover was winning, knock him to the ground, he was still able to reverse the grappling positions and find the finish. It brings up here chin. If you're not named Alex Pereira, he has been hit by bombs, by heavy hitters like Jamal Hill, Khalil Roundtree, Rakic, Teixeira, Reyes, Volkan, Dalloway, Maldonado. Like, these people are heavy hitters. They hit you and you go out. His chin is extremely powerful in a sense of his fighting style, because he's able to believe he's able to move forward. Because if he doesn't respect your power, I hate to say this, you're going to have a long night. His head movement, something that I guess was a weakness in the beginning of his career, and it really wasn't until his last 2 fights. Jiří's head movement has improved so much that he's able to find those counters, be in those weird positions, and finding those finishing shots, even from the leg kicks, throwing head kicks, body kicks. Like, he's able to move in a way that you see like lots of videos, especially in the fight against Jamal and Khalil. He was able to move and dodge and weave and counter. His defensive move of his head movement has increased so much. And then lastly, I don't think we're going to see in this fight, but we'll discuss it here in a bit, is his grappling. Jiří has a strong base of grappling. I think him able to out-grapple, and I wouldn't say really out-grapple, but able to find reversals, finding dominant positions in ground pound against Glover, who is the best grappler in that light heavyweight history, period. He will actually won the first fight against Alex Pereira in the first round. People forget that he took Alex to the ground and was able to find and punched him and ground and pound. He was able to change and manipulate the fighting. When Jiří's in trouble, he will resort to grappling, and he has been affected by it. Rare that he uses it, but it is a tool that he has that he could utilize it. Which brings on to the next step, his weaknesses. Defensively, he is not the best defense. This kind of goes on to the third bullet point and the second one. He definitely does start to slow down, but he is a slower fighter compared to other fighters. Like against Jamal Hill, he was slower. Against Khalil, he was slower. Against Rakic, he wasn't really that slow, but he's not a fast fighter. No, he's just able to pick a shot, overrun the fighters. But he is hittable. Every fight he's always been in trouble. From the Rakic winning the first round, putting heavy on the leg kicks, Glover almost knocking him out on the first and the last round with those overhand right and the check left hook. And Khalil beating him those first 2 rounds. He was losing that fight. He was hittable. He's not someone who's going to have a high guard, but he has been better with his head movements. But still, and then leg kicks. He doesn't check those leg kicks really well, especially when a fighter's fighting from the outside, trying to put him distance. He's heavily flat-footed on the front leading leg in a karate stance, which exposes him, and he doesn't do anything to check it. Instead, he just takes it. He is really good at switching stances, but when a stance where both of your legs are being compromised, you're not able to land a pretty hard punch because you're just not able to put on weight in those feet. And then last 2, he does get exposed in the brawl. As much as he is known for promoting chaos and winning those exchanges, the moments he also gets caught is in those brawling moments. When Alex knocked him out on the first fight in the second round, it was because in the clinch, in the brawl, and he found the left hook onto his chin and he fell. When Glover was able to put in damage onto his chin, it was because in those brawling moments, Glover was able to throw a hook and land. Khalil was the same thing. Though Khalil lost in the third round, there's moments that Khalil was able to get back in the fight because of the brawling moments. And Jiří has his chin up in the air. And his unorthodox style is also his weakness. Because you're unpredictable, and there's a lot of things of the basic standpoints of why it took thousands of years of traditional martial arts to get to the point. There are reasons why it is good to have order. It's good to have a simple 1-2 fight from the outside. You can't always continuously be exploding because you will eventually get caught. And that's what happened when you fought a guy like Alex Pereira, who was just strikingly just way better. But I don't like to always compare his name to him. It's just that's his only recent losses in over a decade, right? And every round he has lost. Even Dominic Reyes. When they fought, Dominic Reyes had good moments because of Dominic Reyes' ability to keep it ordered, to keep it simple, keep it to the basics, the jab, the cross, then even throw an elbow into the mix. You know, one thing I do like, which it kind of moved to the next segment, is the path to victory. Though he is unorthodox, be overwhelming and chaotic, he has to overwhelm Carlos Ulberg. I will go on deep on the weaknesses on Carlos Ulberg's, but he has to overwhelm him. He needs to build up the later round. Something is very, very great about Jiří is that his cardio helps him that through the rounds he gets better. If you're not finishing up in the first or second round, he's just going to get better. Same thing would happen with Volkan Ozdemir, Dominic Reyes, Glover Teixeira, Rakic, Jamal Hill, Roundtree. Towards the end of the rounds, that is when he's gotten better. He hasn't had a first round finish in the UFC because opponents obviously are better. But he was able to continuously put on the pressure and find the way to win. Do not get checked. Easier said than done. But you can't be just rushing in without just having your chin up in the air, because Carlos will check you. And that's something we'll talk about in his strengths and weaknesses. Wrestle, grapple, mix in. This is an MMA fight, not kickboxing, not Muay Thai. If you're in a position where you're able to get a single or a high crotch, right? Most likely, I don't think he's able to get like a double leg or a high crotch in that situation, but go for a single. Take him down. Get in a clinch moment to the fence. All right? Start overwhelming Ulberg. Getting to start to think like, I can't just stand up with this guy. I have to keep my wrestling in check. And then lastly, be Jiří. Introduce the chaos. Ulberg is a very other side of the spectrum type of fighter. You have to bring him into your domain. Force the fight into your realm. Now, moving on. Carlos Blackjack Ulberg. This is his fight history. This is all from the first fight in the Contender Series when he fought against Bruno Oliveira. And his only loss against Kennedy. And ever since then, you could just tell like he I would say probably more experience in UFC than Jiří, but Jiří is obviously way, way more battle tested. Some noticeable names on him, obviously in his last 3 fights against Volkan Ozdemir, that was a unanimous decision. Jan Blachowicz, some people say John won that fight, some people say Carlos Ulberg. I personally thought that John did win that fight, but I could see why they gave Ulberg just because he was a little bit more active on the feet. And then obviously the crazy knockout he had against Dominic Reyes, right? His strengths. So when I'm looking back to some of his fights, especially the fight against like Da Wung Zhang, Tafan, even Kennedy, Alonzo, John was a perfect also fight. His jab is where the money is at. I like his jab. In the beginning of his career, he would have his hands down low. He used to have hands low. He was trying to be more show off and everything. And he would always get exposed. I mean, that's how he lost against Kennedy. Kennedy was able to overwork him, survive the onslaught, and then later build up to finish him in the second round. his checking ability. I like his checking ability. I like his counterattacks. Obviously, he trains with some of the best counter fighters in the world with Israel Adesanya. So you could definitely see that his style is there. He does come from a strong kickboxing background. So I like to see that. I like to see the leg kicks, which he's known to really do well. I mean, that's how he chopped down Volkan. That's how he chopped down Da Wung Zhang. Like those leg kicks, he was able to just boom, boom, boom. Even when he against like leg kicks against Jan Blachowicz, which that boy's made out of steel, he was able to still utilize it while he was fighting the outside, which kind of leads to the fourth bullying point. Fighting the outside. He is not a fighter that really engages and moves forward. He likes to stay outside, keeps his hands up, his right hand right here, just waiting to clock because he is a sniper. He's very patient. I like that from Ulberg. Something that, obviously Jiří has seen, but to a far better, I say, technical aspect. He is such a superior technical striker than Jiří Procházka is. And I like that. I like to see that. I like to see him fight from the outside, pick his shots, be patient, do not engage in the brawling. But moving on, it's his weaknesses. The one thing I do have a problem when watching his fights is that his pace is pretty slow. Though Jiří is a sort of fighter in terms of like reflex and stuff, but he's able to still continuously move, put on the pressure. And that's something that Carlos doesn't do really well. When he was fighting against Wung Zhang, Kennedy, and Volkan, the one thing I have noticed is that as soon as they start to put in the pressure, Carlos would actually slow down, step back. He would actually I wouldn't say the word crumble, because obviously he won those fights beside the Kennedy one. He just didn't do well. He did not respond to them well. This kind of goes into his grappling and the power. His grappling is not good. Now, he hasn't fought in any like insane grapplers, but he hasn't really been tested, and he's been taken down pretty relatively easy. Kept down, not easy. He obviously knows how to use the fence and wrestle up, but he hasn't really been producing well against like the clinch moments, getting into the single legs. He doesn't really shoot at all. Though he has a higher takedown defense compared to Jiří, it's just really no one really has tested it. And then the power. The one thing I've noticed with Carlos Ulberg is like, just like Jiří, he has insane power. He does. It's his strengths. But over the course of the rounds, you don't see that anymore. Prime example here. On all his finishes, by striking, all of them were by the first round. But none of them were in the second or third round. None. His only finish he has outside of that first round was the third round by a rear naked choke on Da Wung Zhang, which was his mistake that Zhang did. But beside that, Carlos does not carry that power through the later rounds. So if you're able to survive that first round, he doesn't carry the same pop. My bad. The same pop that Jiří has, that Jiří 100% carries in the second, the third round. He has been caught in those situations where he just doesn't produce the amount, maybe because of his cardio issues, maybe just not finding the right button. But the moment that fighter survived the first round, he does not finish them on the feet. Path to victory. Something I want to say is this. He has to fight the outside. You cannot just run into Jiří. Chop the tree. Leg kicks. Do not abandon the leg kicks against Jiří. He's going to be pushing forward. When he fought against Jan Blachowicz, he did really well just throwing the leg kicks, utilizing it. But then towards the later rounds, he just stopped using it. You got to keep that, because when Jerry fought against Rakic, Rakic won that first round by using those leg kicks, damaging his legs, slowing him down. That Jiří could not do anything in those 4 minutes. It wasn't until the second round that he finally caught, but that was because Rakic just stopped. All right? I hate to be that dude, like, oh, the calf kicks and this and that, but throw leg kicks. Set up the leg kicks to throw a head kick. Look what Alex did. The switch kick. Boom, boom. Jiří dropped his hands down, knocked him out. Set up the cross with the jab. Use that jab. I like the jab the way he uses it. He's able to fight it well, fight it from the outside, put up the distance with it. So use it. Use the leg kicks. Set up the cross with the jab. Clinch. If by any situation Jiří starts to get overwhelming and brawl, clinch. Clinch. Use defense. Start putting your weight against him to start slowing down. Guaranteed Carlos is going to be the heavier opponent against Jiří. Then let Jiří come forward. Crazy I said, because a lot of people will probably disagree in that sense. No. On his fight against Alonzo Menefield, you know how he knocked him out? Alonzo just rushed. And he found that check. He checked him on the chin, started overwhelming, punching him, and finished him. Right? Same thing when it happened to Nicolay. Started rushing in, getting that block, boom, 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 knocked him out. Tafone, same thing. Start rushing in, boom, hook to the face. Let Jiří come forward. Find that shot. Be the sniper that you claim to be. And do not be scared to get in that fire. Now, my final prediction here. Kind of going each side. This is, I wouldn't say a pick'em fight. This is a 60-40, 50-45. They're both fighters that have potential of finishing each other. This will not go to the distance. It's just not made for it. The only reason, and I will go this, not because I'm biased, it's just because I did take time to watch the fights, see what they could possibly do, is I do think Jiří Procházka wins. And then I'm going to say the reason why. Jiří has fought in the far better caliber fights. If you go watch the fight against Glover Teixeira, he wants it bad. But doesn't mean like he wants it in a negative way and stuff. No, he just carries himself as a champion. He understands the idea of falling against Alex Pereira twice and coming back. Falling, coming back. He has fought in opponents just like Carlos Ulberg. Carlos has never fought anybody like Jiří. And the only opponent that Carlos has on his resume that's, I would say, is a good name is Jan Blachowicz. Dominic Reyes, I hate to say this, but everybody has already knocked him out. I mean, Dominic was knocked out by 4 opponents now. He was knocked out by Jan Blachowicz. He was knocked out by Jiří Procházka. He was knocked out by Ryan Spann. And now Carlos Ulberg, his chin has been gone since then. And against Jan Blachowicz, I genuinely thought that Jan won. And he didn't do enough to be like, yeah, I could beat a champion. Because it was only 3 rounds. There was no 4th or 5th round. We haven't seen him getting tested in those later rounds. How would you fare once those championship rounds come? Is your cardio going to be holding up? Is your power going to be holding up? What are you going to do when there's someone who's just non-stop pressuring, who's willing to be in that fire? Are you going to be cool and collected? I just don't see it. Obviously, Carlos is the older fighter. He hasn't had that much experience. He hasn't been really battle tested, and this is his big matchup. I do think Carlos has the ability to beat Jiří by checking him, by knocking him out. This is a kill or be killed fight. Are you ready to die for this belt? Are you ready to kill for this belt? At the end of the day, it's all about the mentality who's coming in this fight and what happens after that bell rings in the first round. My prediction kind of goes down like this. I do think Carlos is going to win the first round, maybe the second round, But that's when tide starts to turn, and that's when Jiří, once he gets his, I call it like the rage meter, like Kratos from God of War. The more damage he gets, the better he gets. The more he's willing to I need to finish this fighter. And he's going to do whatever it takes to find that finishing moment. Again, it kind of goes down when that Glover, when he won the belt for the first time, was prime example. This guy will find a way to win. Maybe it wasn't there against Alex Pereira because Alex has that nuclear option. But if you don't have that, which I just don't think Carlos has, especially on the round starts to get second round, third round, fourth and fifth round, I just don't see it. And then what if you get in a grappling exchange, right? Are you able to out-grapple Jiří? Jiří's wrestling is far better. His jiu-jitsu is a lot better. So I just see Jiří just has more tools and the ability to win this fight. And I'm predicting a third or fourth round finish by Jiří Procházka. I don't think we see the fifth round. And we'll see. However, this is my prediction. We'll just see what happens. Fair game to both fighters. Let the best man win and let us fans enjoy the fight. But thank you for watching my video. I'll see y'all on the next.